Greetings, family. It's Empress D. I'm in Nature's Clearly. Can't stay away. I hope you guys are well, and I hope you guys are getting out in nature for real, for real. I hope you guys are taking it seriously, right? This environment does so much good for you, okay? And just a few minutes a day really can do wonders for you. I speak about it all the time. Today, I want to speak about a heavy topic, and it's I've been kind of waiting for this kind of to come to the mainstream, and it has. Okay, now I haven't hid the fact that I've been part of the medical community. I've been a nurse and a nurse practitioner for most of my life, right? Maybe half of my life. I've been in the field for like 23 years, right? A nurse for 10 of those years, and I think a nurse practitioner for 13 of those years, right, family? And so 2.5 years ago, my world just got turned upside down in terms of my career, right? I'm no longer part of the medical community, and it's because I just didn't understand what was happening around me, right? On Monday, the European Union, which a bunch of European leaders met with the pharmaceutical companies that developed and distributed these COVID-19 vaccines to ask them questions, right? And so one of the leaders questioned one of the directors from Pfizer and asked them whether or not, before the rollout of these vaccines to the general public, whether or not there was testing done on if the vaccine would prevent transmission of this infection. The answer that this director from Pfizer delivered to this European Union was that no, we did not test whether or not this vaccine would stop transmission of the virus. She said that they had to move at the speed of science, which I don't know what that means. It's almost like you have to throw the word science in there to make it sound official. And then she also went on to remark that we didn't have time because the market was demanding it. And she said that they had to operate at risk. Family, our government officials and our health officials all said that we had to take this vaccine to protect the others. We had to take it in order to visit our elderly parents or our grandparents. They said that we could not work if we didn't have this because we would spread it around the workplace. The unvaccinated people. They said that you needed to have the vaccine to work because they didn't want to spread the virus around the workplace. So you needed the vaccine. They made vaccine passports. People lost their jobs, their livelihoods, everything. Lots of businesses shuttered, all of that. And it was all because they needed to get the vaccine into everybody, because that was what's going to stop the pandemic. I know I'm not making this up. I know we all heard this, right? They basically said that we needed to take this vaccine in order to stop this spread of this virus. And if you refuse to take it, then you cannot participate in society. Meanwhile, there was never any evidence or research stating that this vaccine prevented transmission. Yet governments around the world threatened its citizens, took away their livelihoods, in some cases their pensions, if they chose not to take this vaccine that they said was needed to prevent transmission. But unfortunately, the company that developed the vaccine did not test whether or not this vaccine would prevent transmission. Isn't that the first thing you would test? I've shared that what I did was I found a directive put out by the Ministry of Health that said that people can learn about these vaccines and then decline. So what I did is I developed a course and I taught this education. I used the Pfizer and the Moderna product monographs to build my education course, because that was the people that developed these products, and they would have the most information, right? When I was teaching the course, Moderna and Pfizer is those product monographs. As I said, I read them from cover to cover. I know them. Pfizer did not test the carcinogenicity, that's cancer-causing ability of an agent, right? They did not test it, and they admitted it, and I taught this in my course. They did not test the carcinogenicity, the cancer-causing ability of the vaccine, nor did they test the genotoxicity of the vaccine. This is Pfizer. Now, genotoxicity is the damage to genes, okay? They didn't test that. Moderna, however, they as well did not test the carcinogenicity, again, the cancer-causing ability of the agent, but they did test the genotoxicity of the agent, and they found the genotoxicity to be low. Not non-existent, they found it to be low. This is in their monograph. And this is what I presented in my course. The course that I presented that has had my ability to practice nursing restricted and suspended for almost a whole year, right? If they didn't test whether or not this vaccine was going to prevent transmission, they didn't test whether it's going to damage the genes, they didn't test whether it's going to damage or cause cancer, what else didn't they test? And this is what I taught in my course. I said at every class, when I read the information from the product monographs, I don't know where public health and our government is getting this information from in saying that it will prevent this and that and the other, prevent hospitalizations, prevent, like I combed those papers trying to find this information that the government and our public health officials were preaching. I combed them and I couldn't find it. And I presented that to the individuals that took my course. I said, guys, I don't know where the government is getting this information from. I don't know where public health is getting this information from. It can't be anecdotal. Anecdotal is experience, right? It can't be, because the vaccines had just been rolled out like a few months ago. So there wasn't enough experience and time to say, oh, it's going to do this, that, and the other. They just came out. I'm going to go back. The virus came out March 2020. By November of 2020, we were in clinical trials for these vaccines. And by early 2021, they were distributed to the world, family. What's going on? Like, I honestly hope that this is the beginning, that this revelation from Pfizer is the beginning of us as a population saying what really went on, you know, and asking our governments, asking our public health officials, what were you guys doing? We're in a really interesting time, family. We're in a really interesting time. And just because of how I am, It really affects me. What has happened to humanity. It really affects me. I had to share this information with you, family. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but it's not going to be on mainstream media. They're not going to show this because a lot of mainstream media and lots of TV shows are funded by Pfizer. They're not going to report this news, family. Right? I think we need to share it amongst each other, amongst ourselves. We have to be aware and informed, right? We have to start thinking and making decisions for ourselves and not allowing anybody else, governments, doctors, nurses, nobody to decide anything for us, right? What doctors, nurses, government officials, health, they're there to provide us with information. Ultimately, any decision that has to do with what we do with ourselves should come from ourselves, right? And I think that this whole fiasco is a beautiful example of why we cannot trust anybody to govern us. We have to govern ourselves, family, okay? This is my message for today, okay? I have a really heavy heart in talking about this, right? But at the same time, it's finally coming, like what I've been, since April of 2020, I've been saying, what is going on? And now finally others are starting as well, okay? I told you, I subscribe to a lot of physicians on YouTube that speak about this stuff, that speak about the studies and speak about all of the emerging data. I have to say all of these physicians are vaccinated that I subscribe to on YouTube. They all went out and took their vaccines really early on, right? Because remember, healthcare providers were first in line. So all of these physicians that I watch regularly are vaccinated. But all of the evidence that they're presenting is that we really might have jumped the gun, right? There's one in particular, Dr. John Campbell. Again, he's a nurse who's a PhD prepared nurse. Dr. John Campbell out of the UK, he took 3 doses. I think he said his last dose was in November of 2021. And he hasn't taken any since. He's been advised for his booster and whatnot, and he's not taking it due to the emerging evidence, right? Again, I spoke about this. There's lots of countries that have changed their vaccine policies as a result of the emerging evidence. Some countries are no longer giving this to children. But yet I'm in North America. We're in Canada and the US, it's 0 to 6 months. It's 6 months and up who are still being advised to take this. On October 13th, 2022, right? We have to start to look around us, family, and recognize what's happening around us. Because something's not right, okay? Something is not right. Family, I really wish nothing but the best for each and every one of you. Like, I really hope that all of us are really, starting to get to know ourselves and so that we can listen to that little voice inside of us that says something's not right, right? Family, I send everybody loving and healing energy, especially during this time. We're as a race, as a human race, we're going through a really tough time on the planet, okay? Stay up, family. I love and I value each and every one of you, okay? I really do, and I thank you for taking the time to listen. But more than listen, I just really want people to be vigilant and diligent about how they conduct themselves and how they live their lives and who they're listening to, right? At the end of the day, you would think that each and every one of us individually would most likely make decisions that would serve our greater good and that of our family, right? And I think that we have to take back that power and take back that realization that we have to be the ones to decide what happens with us. Okay? Thank you again for taking the time to listen, family. I love and I value each and every one of you. One love.